For this next piece, is a composition by African-American composer William Grant Still. And we were always planning to play this on the concert, but I did not realize that we'd be dedicating that song until last night. William Grant Still was an African-American composer, and he was active from about 1915 until about 1965, 1970. And it was very difficult for an African-American or a female composer to get published, particularly during this time, and I don't think I need to give an explanation as to why, if you know American history. But this piece, Folk Suite, is actually different from a lot of William Grant Still's compositions. He usually wrote original material, and this is actually made up of several folk songs that he experienced in the African-American community as he was growing up. The first movement is Get on Board, Little Children. Right, it's referencing the Glory Train. Of course, that Glory Train was a reference to the Underground Railroad delivering them from bondage. And the second movement that we'll be playing is Deep River. And the first movement, of course, is very joyful. And I told the students, if nobody in the audience feels moved to get up and dance, then they have not played it correctly. It is very joyful and it is very energetic. The second movement, by contrast, is very deep and mournful, the song Deep River. It's about spiritual longing. My soul is over Jordan. Of course, the Jordan River was often used as an analogy for the Ohio River, because once you crossed over, presumably that would lead to your freedom. What I did not realize until last night was that this piece would be the ideal piece to dedicate to a member of the music education community from here in North Central Florida, who apparently we just lost last night. Show of hands, who knows L.C. Coney? Who's heard of L.C. Coney? All the band directors. And I'm seeing some people, there's a few hands that I'm guessing maybe over the age of 70, who probably remember this person. Yeah. L.C. Coney was an African-American band director who, I don't know his age, I believe he was in his early 90s, so he had to have been born in the 1930s. He grew up at a very difficult time. The military wasn't even integrated until, I believe, just the end of World War II. He became a high school band director, I believe, in the late 1940s, early 1950s in Sumter County. And the school he taught at was Mills. I don't know if it was a high school. I think it was multiple grades, like middle, junior, senior high school. But he taught at Mills for a number of years. That was a segregated black high school in southern Sumter County. And the history of segregated schools and their band programs is actually my research area at the University of North Florida, so I've studied these things. I spoke with them a little bit. But I think it's important to mention something. In my research, I found that historically, particularly in the 50s and 60s and early 1970s, white high school bands had about 13% of the student body in the band program. Black high school bands, on average, had about 22% of the student body in their band programs. And at Mills, with L.C. Coney, it was approximately 90% of the student body that was involved in this band program. I personally have only interacted with him twice. The first time, my first interaction with Mr. Coney was in 2002, when I was the band director at East Bay High School down in Hillsborough County. I just moved back to Florida, and we were on stage for Concert MPA, and he was one of our judges. And I remember looking at the judges' sheets, and I was listening to the cassette. Any other Gen Xers in there remember what a cassette is? Yeah. I put it in my car's tape deck, and I was listening to the judges' comments. And I remember, wow, this guy doesn't sound young. And that was in 2002. And for him to, that's a very long life, I've got to say. And the second time was in 2016. I had proposed a session for the Florida Music Educators Conference in Tampa that was meant to recognize the 50th anniversary of the merger between the Florida Bandmasters Association and the Florida Association of Band Directors. Up until 1967, there were separate organizations for the white band directors and the black band directors. This was normal under school segregation, legalized segregation. And it was in 1967, the summer of 1967, that the two organizations 66, I apologize, that the two organizations merged and became one. And I was gathering together a panel of band directors who had been members of the Florida Association of Band Directors. So mind you, the youngest of these people were 22 years old in 1967. So the youngest people I was talking to are my mother's age, and several more were quite a bit older. I had a panel of 4 different people, Chief Wilson, Dr. White from Florida A&M, Sam Hayward from Countryside in Pinellas County, and Willie Pyfrom from Palm Beach. And I invited L.C. Coney to join us, and he was set to come be the 5th person on that panel. This was 2016, and he called me the day before, and he said, "I'm so sorry, Dr. Drew, I would love to be there, and I'd love to see my old friends, but I just don't think I can make it. My health's not holding up." So the fact that, under those conditions, he, 2023, he held on for quite a bit longer. I know without a doubt that he had a profound impact on the lives of undoubtedly thousands of young musicians in Sumter County as well as beyond. When they desegregated the schools and they closed down the mills, then he became the band director at South Sumter High School. And just the amount of influence he's had, the amount of effect he's had on young musicians is no doubt incredible. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, a round of applause in his memory. And when I get onto the podium, I'd like us to observe a moment of silence to think about his contributions. And I want to dedicate both of those movements, the first movement, the upbeat one, to the joy and the inspiration that he no doubt brought to so many people, and the second one, more mournful in character, for us to reflect upon human life and his influences on all of us. So this is William Grant Still's Folk Song Suite. A moment of silence. Let's celebrate the life of a wonderful person. Let's feel that joy.